Eve Walsh, and I'm presenting this Hangout on Air from University College Dublin. This Hangout will give information to international students who applied for an MSc in Information Systems. Before I introduce you to our panel today, I'd like to remind you why so many students choose to study in Ireland. As the only English-speaking country that uses the euro, Ireland is viewed as a gateway to Europe. Many of our students explore other European capitals while they are here. Feeling safe is so important for students who study abroad and for their parents. Ireland is one of the safest countries in the world. As a small island on the edge of Europe, we have reached out to the world and are now ranked as the second most globalized country on the planet. Irish people are renowned across the world for being especially friendly and open to meeting new people. Ireland also has the highest percentage of young people in Europe. Dublin is a friendly city that's easy to get around. QS have ranked it in the top 10 in the world for students. Our university attracts the highest number of international students in Ireland. So why do so many international students choose UCD? A key reason is our global reputation. UCD is ranked in the top 1% of higher education institutions in the world. UCD is the largest and the most international university in Ireland. We also attract the most EU research funding. Originally founded in 1854, UCD now has the largest urban campus in Europe. For detailed information about coming to study in Ireland, visit the UCD International website. You can click on Study at UCD and then click on Coming to Ireland. I will now pass you over to Benjamin Cohen, who is going to tell you a little bit about the MSc in Information Systems.
Hello there, my name is Benjamin Cohen, and I'm a lecturer on the MSc in Information Systems. I lecture user experience design, so user-centered design, and systems analysis and design. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the program and the courses that go through on the MSc in Information Systems. So the program really focuses on the interplay between people, information, technology, and social structures. So we take a very theoretical and a human sciences view on information systems and the role they have in society. So we look at the key theories and principles associated with the development and design of user-centered information systems. So one of the key things about the program is its focus on the user in developing, designing, and understanding these types of systems. We also look at courses, include courses that look at understanding how information is created and organized, as well as how people search and share information across communities and organizations, as well as between individuals in everyday life. So we're also part of the iSchools consortium. So the School of Information and Library Studies is part of a major global consortium of iSchools that focus on information science and information studies. And this incorporates a huge number of universities, and we're proud to be a member of that consortium. Again, as I was saying before, there's a global collection of information schools, and really the main aim of these schools is to educate and inform on the interplay between information, people, and technology. So this course is really one of the important sort of foundation courses within these types of schools, and one that the school takes on very well. So the core modules that you'll be studying on the program focus on these six here. So management for information professionals, foundations of information studies, user-centered design, so UXD, so that's the one that I'll be lecturing on, information architecture. We've got systems analysis and design, another one of the courses I lecture on there, and research methods. So looking at teaching students how to research information systems and how to evaluate those systems and how they impact users and their behavior. We also have a wide range of options that you can take on the program too, and these span from a wide range of courses that we offer within the school for our master's programs. So these include courses on digital curation, such as digital curation core concepts and digital curation tools. We also offer some more research relevant courses, such as quantitative data analysis, which will look at using R to analyze data from user studies. We also look at more theoretical courses, so things like people and information and communication, looking at people communicate and people share information, as well as possibilities of looking at things like web publishing, creating and publishing digital media, and looking at current trends in social computing too. So it's a big question, I suppose, is why would you study in Ireland to study for the MSc in Information Systems? Well, Ireland has a huge number of tech companies that use Ireland as their base. So some of the major brands within IT are based here. So people like Google and Facebook, Twitter, as well as Apple and Amazon, and Microsoft have their operations in Dublin or in Ireland specifically. In terms of the projects that we get our students to do on these courses, we have a major final year project that students engage in, and that is called the Capstone project. Next year as well, we'll also include an option to do an individual thesis where you can concentrate on a topic area of interest and be supervised by either an academic in the department or with an industry partner that we have links with. And these projects tend to see students working with businesses, non-profit organizations, and/or faculty, and they tend to focus on cutting-edge information systems issues and problems. And at the end of this, we end up with a report and a thesis from the students. And this is group work as well. So they tend to be in groups of sort of 3 to 4 students focusing on a problem set by either business or a member of faculty. Again, as I said previously, there is an option next year for a thesis component, individual thesis, where again, working with business or a member of faculty, focusing on a problem individually. So in terms of careers, where do people go, I suppose, after doing these degrees, and what are these degrees good for in terms of training? Well, the courses that we have really base themselves on having a user-centered focus. So user experience specialists, usability analysts, quantitative data analysts as well, looking at user-centered data in these organizations and companies is a common area where we would see people looking for jobs. We also see people looking for web content manager, information architect, webmasters, and again, anything that involves sort of information or the information flow within organizations, so knowledge management analysts and such like. We also see people apply for social media management roles too.
Thank you for that, Ben. So now I'd like to introduce you to our panel. So on our panel today, we have Dr. Benjamin Cohen, who is a UCD lecturer, Mark Cox from UCD International, and Andrea Bellamonte, a UCD student. So welcome, everybody. I might just start by asking you to just say a little bit about yourselves. So Ben, you were talking there about the MSc in Information Systems. Would you also like to tell us just a little bit about your background, so a little bit about your teaching and your research?
Yeah, so again, my name is Ben Cohen. My teaching and research really focuses on the area of human-computer interaction. That's the interplay between people and technology and how that impacts our behaviors and our attitudes. So the courses I teach on the program are focused around user-centered design and HCI. And so one of the courses I teach is UXD, user-centered design, and also systems analysis and design. I'll also be leading next year the quantitative data analysis course. And so my real passion, I suppose, is research on these areas using quantitative tools and quantitative analysis techniques. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me and what I do on the course. I'm also the program lead of the course. So if you have any issues or questions, please feel free to email me, and I'll be able to answer those for you too.
Great, thank you, Ben. And Mark, if you just want to just say a little bit briefly about what you do in UCD International.
So hello, my name is Mark Cox. I work in the UCD International office. So our work is, one part of our work is the recruitment of students from across the world to come to UCD to take part in our programs, undergraduate and graduate. So our work involves traveling to meet students in regions all across the world, offering support by email and phone to students who might be interested in coming to study in UCD, and then finally then taking the assessment of the applications which are coming in from students and working with the schools to make sure that the best students are taken into the programs. So if you're watching this, you'll probably have received an offer already, so congratulations. We get thousands and thousands of applications every year, so you've worked hard. You obviously have fantastic grades to have been given an offer already. So the work of the International Office for you from now on will be offering support, helping you with your visa applications if that's applicable, giving you information on tips on coming to Ireland and getting you, just making sure that you're comfortable and that you're fully prepared for moving to Ireland for everything, as well as your academic business, but also accommodation and all of the hundreds of things that we can talk about now.
Great, thank you, Mark. And finally, Andrea, just maybe a little bit about your academic background and why you chose this course and decided to study in UCD.
Nice to meet you all. I completed my degree here in UCD last year, and I applied for the MSc in September, and I'm currently just completing my studies.
Great, thank you. So Ben, what I might ask you first of all is just to say a little bit about the typical day of a student. So how many hours perhaps there is in terms of lectures, and also how many hours are needed to study outside class time.
Okay, so well, the lectures effectively, depending on the number of courses you take, so all the modules have 2 hours worth of lectures. These will be spread out throughout the week, depending on the on how many you select in semester 1 and semester 2. Will be dependent on how many hours, I suppose, per week those lectures will be done. But generally, each course you take will have 2 hours worth of lectures. We also expect a lot of study outside of that. So there'll be some time, so say probably about 30, 40 hours for each course around those sort of study times, working on projects, reading around the lecture material, and really sort of getting into some of the areas you find interesting within the course and exploring the course more fully. So I should say that that's study time across the semester, across the course that you have there. We'll be giving you readings on our e-learning tools, e-learning platforms, so you'll have access to them. The library is also well sourced, and we have good electronic resources. And so you'll be expected to do reading and autonomous study within these courses. Yeah, so that would be generally what would occur. So I imagine there'll be a lot of sort of going to lectures and a lot of library time and a lot of time studying as well.
Okay, great. Andrea, I might ask you, just in terms of the class size and academic support, could you tell a little bit about your experience of the academic support that you would get, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the kind of group work that you might have done?
Yeah, so in general, I think the class sizes are quite small, usually ranging between 10 to 20 people. In my year, there was only around 8 or 9 people, so those class sizes were quite small, which was actually quite enjoyable because it gave us more time to interact with the staff, who were quite friendly and approachable and wanted you to ask so many questions. In terms of the group work, the classes are very well prepared for that, in the sense that everybody's quite engaging. Everybody sort of enjoys doing the work because everybody who applies for the Masters is quite interested and they want to sort of be involved. And in terms of the amount of work for group work within class as well, it's quite manageable and it's actually very interesting and easy to do, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose it's worth saying there as well. We also do have, so in the classes, we also have a mix of students. So there are elements, so there'll be MSc in Information Systems students, yep. as well as Library and Information Studies Masters students, and from Computer Science and Negotiated Learning. So there flexibility in the type of students that we have, which actually makes it really, really good for the MSc in Information Systems. You'll be interacting with students who aren't necessarily just information systems students. They may be from other backgrounds too that are relevant, and that makes it really interesting in some of the courses where we look at design, where we sort of try and pair people up with a different background. So you'll get a real spread of the different backgrounds people have and the experience.
I think that really helps because it sort of offers different perspectives, allows people, for example, in library studies to give some sort of information or knowledge about, for example, they might come from a library background or even records management background, which could be quite handy for people within the embassy as well.
Okay, very good. And Mark, I might ask you I know that you've talked about the kind of support that the International Office gives in terms of bringing students to Ireland and when they arrive and getting them settled in. But during the year, are there specific supports for international students as well?
Yeah, of course. So your first interaction with us at the International Office should hopefully be the first day that you arrive on campus. You should come down to our office and say hello. We have a reception desk which is open every day, 9 to 5, and you can come in and just let us know that you've arrived and if you have any questions. So your first week then on campus, orientation week, we offer a huge number of events and support during that week to get you settled into UCD. We give campus tours to students. We bring students into the city, so we give tours of the city, where to shop, where you can get food a little cheaper than normal, these things that you wouldn't know coming to a new city. We'll also give some support with maybe setting you up with your email and how to set up your bank account and how to get your personal security number for Ireland. These things that can seem overwhelming, all taken together, but when you break them down into individual tasks, they're fine. We can offer support with all of those. Then during the year, there's a whole range of events that we run to keep people engaged with the International Office and to integrate into the campus wider. So there'll be events. We have huge celebrations for different national days during the year. So it could be the India Day, or it could be Thanksgiving dinner, or it could be Chinese New Year, or there's huge events that everyone is welcome to come and to kind of interact through those. Then we have the International Student Advisor. So she's available all the time to come if there's a serious problem that you need to discuss, and she'll so that could be if there was any problems with visas or medical issues, things like that. So when serious problems happen, there's always some support, but hopefully nothing like that will happen. But we are there all the time. We also have the Global Lounge, which is a huge benefit to international students. This is a space that we created about a few years ago, specifically to be, a base for international students on campus. It's kind of like a living room or just a hangout place. And that's open every day from 9 until, I think, 9 p.m. So it's quite late. So it's a place just to go in the evenings to hang out. And there's always a staff there as well, a global guide, we call them. So it could be that you don't know how to find the bus that you're trying to take. It could be anything. And these can be really small problems that can just become completely overwhelming when you're in a new city. So there's always somebody around to ask. So I guess the most important thing is come down to the International Office, say hello, ask the question, whatever it is. It doesn't matter how small it is. It could be even just setting up your mobile phone, which could cause huge stress. But it just takes a few minutes once you ask, we can help you with it.
That's great. Thank you, Mark. Ben, I might ask you to talk a little bit more about the Capstone project. I know that you were saying that there can be a group Capstone project or an individual dissertation. So could you talk a little bit more about that and also about any other assessment that happens during the course?
So the Capstone project forms one of the major parts of assessment of the program, and the project is really something that is either set by faculty or it's set by ideas that industry approach us with some industry contacts that we have, and the project is just sort of general, or it could be set, by the way, with by the student. If the student has an idea, then they can set that project up to, and it's generally in teams about sort of 4 to 5 students. And effectively what happens is that from January until sort of August time, so I believe August is a hand in this year, so August 15th year, the group will get together and conduct a piece of work that's set by those organisations or those faculty members. And these pieces of work tend to be sort of cutting edge pieces of work, either things that industry are working on at the moment, or things that academics in the department are working on at the moment and are looking for and are looking to develop into papers or to develop into further ideas. So there really are cutting edge pieces of work that people are doing in these group projects. The thesis is exactly the same. So it would be apart from the fact that it's individual. So say for instance, if you had an idea or something that you'd like to do and a supervisor in the department who you think would be great to supervise it, you can approach them with an idea, whether it be academic or more industry related, and they can try and connect you with an industry partner. Or if you know somebody in industry, if you know a project in industry that you want to do, then by all means that can be the case in an individual project. So it just gives you the flexibility and option of whether you want to work within a group or whether you want to do an individual piece of assessment as well. But effectively, they're the end piece of work. So the final piece of writing that you do, I suppose, in the course, and your final thesis within the program. But we find students find them really good in terms of the group work. So I mean, I don't know what you're
in general, I feel that the projects are quite relevant to what you study, and that the project choices are quite vast in the sense that you can choose very much something focused on, let's say, librarianship or exhibition work, or even based on the MSc, you can focus on information architecture, systems analysis. It's very open, and you can pretty much choose what based on your own interests and preferences.
I mean, so some examples of the projects that we have this year. I mean, we have some digital preservation projects that are working. So you're talking about that today, when you're with the sort of women's football team in Drogheda. We also have some of the projects I supervise look at mobile app development and going through the user-centered design cycle to develop a mobile tourist application for the Easter Rising, which is a commemorative event that's happening in 2016 here. And so the team on that project are actually devising an application, an augmented reality application from sort of general user requirement level all the way to mocking up prototypes with that there. And I've also got another group looking at language use in human-computer dialogue. So when people interact with Siri, what makes them choose certain linguistic terms, for instance. So I mean, they're really real widespread type of projects.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
And I have a question here from a viewer. She's wondering what exact companies from this course do graduates work with? So could you talk a little bit about the relationships that UCD has with external companies, and also the process by which a student chooses what project they're going to do and what industry partner they work with? What sort of support do they get from the academic on that?
Yes, so basically, we have links with with Facebook here. We're trying to. So at the moment, the program is sort of like 2-3 years old, and we're discussing, and we're in links with people like Microsoft and Facebook and Google and some sort of small SME companies as well. So, for instance, Each Another, who's a user experience specialist company in Dublin here. So, people also across the UK who work in user experience as well have contacts with the school. So in general, those are the sort of the contacts that we have. Again, those are growing every day. So we end up having contacts with many different types of organisations, and they tend to either come to us, or we approach them as academics, or the relationships we have with companies are the important part there. In terms of the projects, I mean, generally what happens is that we have they're either industry representatives come to us with an idea. We've been meeting with certain organisations in Dublin, either sort of the sort of photo archive organisations, National Library Archives, those sorts of companies looking for students to conduct projects that are relevant to what they do. So they may approach us, or there might be a link that you have with somebody that you know within a company, or that you know a relationship with the company, and that you can approach them and look at a project that you would like to do with them. So it's very, very flexible in terms of what you'd like to do there. At the moment, it tends to be relationships that the department already has with certain organisations and companies. And many of them are sort of digital library organisations or archive organisations, as well as some more high-tech organisations that are involved in user experience.
Okay, great. That's great, thank you. Mark, I just might actually ask you a little bit about working in Ireland. Mm-hmm. So first of all, can students work while they are studying in Ireland? And then also, can they stay in Ireland afterwards and work after the course? Because they're often questions that students ask.
Yeah, of course. So while you're coming to UCD or coming to Ireland to study, we would always say to students that your program that you're coming to study is your priority. So that should be what gets the huge majority of your time, your attention. So coming to Ireland as an international, a non-EU student, Legally, you are allowed to work 20 hours per week during term time, and up to 40 hours per week outside of term time, so maybe during the Christmas holidays or something like that. So legally, you're allowed generally 20 hours per week during term. We would always, as an international office, and I'm sure academics in various schools would agree, we would always advise students to be very careful about taking on part-time work while you're studying. The reason is the programs are, you've heard, they're intensive, you'll be kept very busy. So the majority of your attention should be purely focused on your studies, on your coursework, and any projects that you have to do. We find if students do take part-time work, it can become extremely stressful. The part-time work that you might be considering, maybe it's cafes or restaurants or shops, the hours can be very uncertain without much flexibility, and students can become very stressed trying to balance work and study. So really, if you're coming, you should budget accordingly so that you have enough money to last for the year. You should certainly not come to Ireland depending on getting a part-time job, because it may not work out, you may not find one. If you do, the money that you receive it really wouldn't be enough to live. So you should really come with the plan that your main focus is your studies. It's 1 year, generally most masters are 1 year. It's an intensive 1 year, but at the end of that you're going to be hugely qualified, and any work that you do later will be far more beneficial, and you'll be able to make back the money that you've maybe had to use to pay for your time studying here. So once you graduate, in Ireland you have a great benefit for students who are coming to Ireland. We have what we call a third level graduate scheme. And that means that once you graduate from your program, you can actually stay in Ireland for a full 12 months after you graduated. So that's a huge, I guess, benefit for students who have come to Ireland to study, and you know that you're welcome to stay here and to take part in the working environment. So to find the job, you have to get in contact with companies. We have a fantastic careers office here on campus, which can help to just put you in the right direction. They can help you with maybe adjusting your CV for the market here and preparing for interviews. There might be some different cultural things for interviews, so they give advice on all of that. But hopefully you'll be lucky to find a job and you can actually stay for 12 months. Now, if you were successful in the job, the company may go to sponsor you to stay longer. That goes outside of UCD, and that's really an individual thing. But you know that you're guaranteed this 12 months. And some of the companies, like you were saying, I think Ireland, and Dublin in particular, it's a small city. We're about 1 million or so people. The country itself is 4 or 5 million. It's a small country, a small city. So people are shocked when they hear that these huge companies like Facebook and Google and Dropbox and Microsoft, all of these things are in Dublin. And not only are they here, they actually have their headquarters for Europe in Dublin. So it's not London or Paris or Berlin where you might think they would be. And the reason is we're English speaking, we use the euro, and we have fantastic graduates coming from courses like this and all across UCD and the other universities in Ireland. So the companies are placing themselves here. So you have a huge, I guess, opportunity to get in contact with these companies, and it's just a case of taking the ownership on yourself to make that reach out. And you'll get support through the careers office and through the school and academics to do that.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And we also have, so to go back to that point, I mean, we have, so one of our students it's a bit wider than that as well. So one of our students is involved in sort of as an information specialist with Halliburton as well. So there's an element of it's not just a tech organisation to look for these types of skills. It's a lot of wider companies who use information every day, or who need to get a competitive edge by analysing that information, understanding that type of information. So that those skills are also very valuable and relevant there. So it can be much wider than just the tech sector too.
Great, thank you. I might just ask you, Andrea, a little bit about the social aspect of the course. So in terms of meeting people, I know that you did a lot of group work. Did you have any involvement in societies, or did you use the sports facilities? Because I know we have excellent facilities here in UCD, and sometimes if you're coming from another country, sometimes people do have a concern about meeting people and enjoying themselves, which is also an important part as well as the study.
Yeah. Well, here in UCD on campus, there are many facilities. There's the gym, which is, I think, grants because you're a student here in UCD, grants free access, I think, to the gym. And there's also the pool where you can pay daily or weekly. And as well as that, there's the student centre, the new student centre which opened, which has many new restaurants. It has also the cinema, I think, which has screenings every week. And as well as that, there's many societies thanks to even the Freshers Week, which happens, I think, in early September and as well in early January, which gives you a chance to sign up for societies, clubs, and even sports clubs if you're interested in taking part in different sports. And as well as you being a lot of facilities in UCD itself, UCD is actually quite close to Dublin city centre. It's only around 20-25 minutes by bus. So that gives you a chance to actually go to the city centre to get in to see so much of the city itself, due to the fact that it's quite open, quite friendly, quite tolerant, and actually just an enjoyable experience in all in itself, essentially.
Great. And can you talk a little and when that's going to happen, Mark?
Yeah, so we actually have dates fresh print today. So we will be starting our first, I guess, meeting with students is actually the minute you come out of the plane. We'll be in the airport from the 28th of August up until the 30th of August, maybe a little later, depending on when people are arriving. So you'll find the majority of international students will be coming through to Dublin through the Dublin airport. So we'll be there. You'll see we'll have lots of staff in bright UCD t-shirts. Come and say hello, and they will just, I guess, welcome you and welcome you to the country. We're going to be the first to say hello, and they'll give you some information on the very first steps that you need. So basically how to get to campus and when you need to do what. So during orientation week then, like I said, we'll have events, we'll have a huge reception where all international students can come and mingle. You might meet people from your own country or from other countries and people from your program and just get to know each other. There'll also be opportunities then, of course, to interact with the rest of the campus through the wider orientation program. So for that, there'll be barbecues and there'll be events all across campus. You can meet Irish students and everyone from different programs and from your own school as well. Also then during the week, we'll have, like I said, we'll have tours of the campus, tours of the city. We also will be running bus tours up to IKEA, which is, if you don't know, IKEA is a huge furniture home store just outside the city. So we'll be bringing students by bus there. So you might arrive and you might have an apartment and you don't have a lamp or something, and that could cause big stress. Where do I get this lamp? So we'll be running tours. You might want to get some bedclothes, towels, things that are bulky and it's difficult to get them around. So we'll have buses going there. And just generally, orientation week is all about settling into campus, getting to know, finding your way and finding your buildings and making sure that you're comfortable and happy and safe before starting class the following week. So the most important thing is to keep an eye on the website, UCD International. Check the dates, they'll be updated as we go through the next 2 weeks. Go to every event that you can and just meet everybody. Everybody is in the same situation. Almost everyone is coming on their own. They don't know anybody. So everyone is really eager to get to talk to people. And you can 100% just say hello to absolute strangers, and everyone is just in a kind of the same situation, just eager to get to know each other and to make some friends and to settle down.
That's great. Thank you, Mark. I'm just going to finish up then with this final question, which is from a student. And the question is, how can we prepare well for this program during the summer? And can you suggest any reading? So I think Ben and Andrea, you may have some advice on that.
So, so with this being a sort of bulky textbook, I suppose you will want that over the summer. I think one of the books that I would definitely recommend is Don Norman's Design of Everyday Things. That's a very, very good introduction about how to design with the user in mind, and some really nice sort of quirky examples about how you see poor design everywhere. So when I read it, so beforehand I never noticed bad design, but after reading it I couldn't help but notice bad design everywhere. So it really does fuel you to look at the user-centered nature of designing anything. From, he talks about taps, he talks about doors, and it's a really sort of good accessible book. And really nice read. And it's one that most people in the area of human-centered information systems, or HCI area as well, are very, very, very familiar with. So it'll be a good start, it's a good foundation. Again, I mean, some websites to look at. And so if you're interested in Nielsen's usability website, it's very, very good. He's one of the main people who has sort of stated some heuristics or shortcuts for evaluating websites and applications. And he does a blog every few months or so talking about different products and the usability of those products. So they're all very, very interesting areas. I mean, again, I would just advise you to read around and to look at user experience videos online, looking at what organisations do online. If there are any user experience organisations that are near you as well, I mean, ask to see what they do. And go visit them. We're a very friendly bunch in HCI, and they'd be great to hear. So that's why I would advise. I don't know if you'd want to buy any more.
I guess in my own experience, I would also recommend something along the lines of LinkedIn. I've used many groups on LinkedIn, like the user experience groups and HCI groups, as a way to sort of get myself, let's say, into sort of small discussions with other professionals, and even create networking links to help me sort of begin to get an idea of how to get into HCI and user experience and things like that, essentially.
Yeah,
that sort of help me gain a basis.
So would you suggest that a student goes into LinkedIn and searches what sort of keywords do you think they might search for? Just human HCI?
Like human-computer interaction, user experience, usability, information systems. There's many groups. Like I think there are many groups on LinkedIn that are very much based on maybe my own preferences, and I'm assuming very much the preferences of those watching. That they're very much based on their own purposes and interests.
Okay, that's good.
If you are interested in a certain type of interaction, so for instance, if you're interested in how people speak to computers, or if you're interested in how people use mobile phones, just literally type it into Google or Google Scholar and try and find some of the academic papers around those areas. I mean, they're really sort of small, tend to be sort of 4 to 6 page. They'll give you an example of the cutting edge pieces of work that are going on and some of the cutting edge work that we cover in the courses. So give you a very, very good head start. And it's something a little bit more inspiring than just that bulky textbook, because that'll be happening in September.
Okay, great. Okay, I'd like to thank our panel for taking part in our Hangout today, and thank you for watching. We hope that you found the information useful, and we look forward to welcoming you in UCD in September. I'm just going to finish up by showing you some information in case you need to ask any questions in the meantime. If you need any help with getting ready to come to Ireland, please contact UCD International at the contact details shown on this slide. If you have a question about the course itself, you can contact the school directly and the details are there. Thank you and goodbye.